Picture this, a tiny, unassuming tick, not content with just giving you an itchy annoyance, decides it's time to become the savior of Mother Earth. Forget all those inconvenient mask mandates and lockdowns. The Lone Star Tick has a much more elegant solution up its six-legged sleeve. With a mere bite, it can trigger the magical transformation of your immune system, turning you into a proud member of the Alpha Gal Squad, otherwise known as people who have an allergic reaction to red meat. Cue the applause, people, because the Lone Star Tick has just become the official ambassador for sustainable dining. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Keith with the Farm2Table Direct Show, and I'm here with my brother Ryan tonight. We're a little bit different. He's in his studio. I'm in mine tonight. Normally we're together, but we needed to get one in the can, so we decided just to push forward in Skype. So anyway, what we're talking about tonight is they're talking about that the pandemic could come from U.S. food supply. Our U.S. meat supply, that is. And here at the Farm2Table Direct Show, we're always keeping an eye on the food supply. That's kind of the way, the program goes. So anyway, just want to, open it up and, you doing all right there, bro?
Yeah, doing just good. As good as can be on this end of things. A hectic day, running wild. Work and just kind of catching up on things. But yeah, this is a little different than what we normally do. We do a lot of meetings this way when we're working on stuff for the show and that sort of thing. But due to scheduling and everything, just kind of try to do it this way so we can reach out to y'all and get some stuff out, get some information out. But yeah, I'm doing good, bro. I say just running crazy like always, but ready to give it a rip and see how this goes on this end. And if it's okay with you, I just want to take a minute to share with the audience just a little bit. We've been kind of slow getting things in the can, so to speak, or getting things out to you the last few weeks. We've had a sad moment in our family as we lost our mother a couple of weeks ago, and it was unexpected, so it just kind of had us all tied up with that, kind of getting our head back in the game, kind of getting back in the saddle a little bit. And so that's what tonight is, and we're just we're pushing forward and getting back in the saddle and getting things going. But just a moment to remember Mom, and she was huge influence on both of us, obviously as our mother, but also just as her Christian influence on our lives and the way she raised us. And she didn't tell us what to think; she just taught us how to think. And she was certainly one of her own opinion and her own way of doing things. But anyway, so folks, I just, that's where we've been. That's what's been going on with the Farm2Table. It's a sad deal, but, me and Keith are both at peace with things, as we know she's in a better place.
Amen.
So anyway, that's where we're at, and that's why Keith was asking me how I was doing. We're both just kind of getting through things, but anyway, we're back here with the Farm2Table family and trying to get things going. So we're going to get back into this talk about the meat and where the potential pandemic they're saying could come, the next one. And then we're going to cover a variety of angles and news articles and such on that tonight, and kind of dig into what that is and where it could be coming from.
Right. And so what we're talking about here is a disease called alpha-gal, and it's found in meat supply, and generally it's in the Lone Star tick. And here in a little bit, we'll just kind of break it down exactly, how this vector works as far as how it gets from the animal population into the human population.
Right.
And then we're going to discuss what the narrative is in the world, and especially in the media on it. And at the end of this, we're going to, we're just going to talk a little bit about, whether we think that this is just part of an overall narrative, which Ryan and I have a good reason to believe that it could be.
Right.
Not saying that it definitely is, but Um, and then, of course, there's always the possibility that it's just, happenstance.
Right.
But anyway, we're going to get started, and I'm going to start off with an article from the Mayo Clinic that says a tick to blame for the alpha gal meat allergy. Yeah, we first picked up on this. I picked up on it earlier,
Right.
but there's just been more information come out, and we've had the chance now to compile a little bit of that information.
Right. Yeah. I
And
actually, I'd only heard of it, just recent, really had never actually heard of this. And we brought it up in conversation and began to talk about it. And which Josh is not able to be with us tonight. Knows somebody who actually has it, but,
right.
So we were on our way back from the expo and stopped in at a barbecue place to get some food. And actually, one of the people who worked there has it. And that was the first person I'd actually met, but it was just like, wow,
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, I had honestly, I had pushed it in the back of my mind until we we got to working on this, and it came back to my mind that I remembered talking to that person, and they were optimistic that there may be able to be something they could get to help them out. But yeah, so it was. But anyway, we'll get into that a little bit later as far as what it is and what the symptoms and all that. But yeah, it's just something, like I said, we've become aware of, and terrible thing for those who have it.
Right. And so I'm going to share my screen here just a little bit. We're going over to an article in USA Today entitled "The Next Pandemic Could Spring from the U.S. Meat Supply," new report finds. And I think, as opposed to me trying to tell you, I'll just let that report speak for itself here.
Right.
From animals to people, and that number seems to be on the rise. Here's why.
All right.
When disease-causing viruses and other organisms jump from animals to people, they're called zoonotic diseases. Zoonotic diseases are common, and the list of them is long, but some of the most well-known in the U.S. include rabies, salmonella, and Lyme disease. The virus that causes COVID-19 also has zoonotic origins. Harmful germs like viruses, bacteria, parasites, and fungi can spread from animal to human in 5 different ways. Direct contact, like petting or getting scratched. Indirect contact, which could mean touching a contaminated surface like a chicken coop. Vector-borne, like being bitten by a mosquito. Food-borne, such as consuming undercooked meat. Or waterborne, like drinking contaminated water. HIV, for example, is believed to be a zoonotic disease. It's a virus that attacks the body's immune system, and if not treated, can lead to AIDS. Studies show that HIV may have jumped from chimpanzees to humans as far back as the late 1800s in Central Africa. Scientists believe that the virus was probably passed to humans when people hunted these chimpanzees for meat and came into contact with infected blood. Zoonotic diseases are on the rise. 60% of all infectious diseases are transmitted from animal to human because of these 3 main factors. First, climate degradation and overpopulation are causing humans to push farming and hunting into what were once forest and wildlands. This alters the natural ecosystems, eliminating that buffer zone between humans and wild animals. Then, there's the increasing demand for meat, which means more intensive livestock farming and more opportunities for exposure. Last, antimicrobial drug resistance can be built up in livestock. So by the time the bacteria reach humans, antibiotics are no longer effective. Some animals, like rodents, bats, carnivores, and non-human primates, are most likely to harbor zoonotic diseases, while livestock acts as a bridge for transmission between animal hosts and humans.
I don't know. That's interesting.
Well, I just think, whenever we're talking about this, we don't need to be negligent in what we're saying.
Right.
And we need this, to make our decisions and everybody else out there in a fact-based way. And so, I think it's important to understand how it works, how it gets into us. And basically what I heard there was that, and the way that I understand it through the Lone Star tick, is that, for example, a bovine or maybe a deer or something like that would, the tick would bite the deer. Well, alpha-gal is found in those types of meat products. And of course, once they get it, and then they get full, they jump off, and then then they in turn bite a human being. And the problem with
Right.
this is that in some people, and I'm not sure what percentage of people, but I assume it's a decent percentage of it because it's on the
Right.
rise. A lot of it, when they get a lot of people when they get tick bite, develop an allergy to red meat.
Right. Which is the result of, and if I read this correctly, bro, it's an immune system response to the alpha gal, and where the immune system is trying to attack that in that person, if I read that correctly.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's an autoimmune disease, basically.
Right.
It affects the autoimmune
Right.
deficiency. So anyway, just real quick, I'm going to jump over to another tab because this is not just off of some kooky website. What I'm going to show you is off of from the Mayo Clinic.
Alpha-gal is a short abbreviation for galactose alpha-1,3 galactose. It's a sugar moiety that is found on non-primate mammalian meats.
Meats like beef, pork, lamb, and venison.
People that have alpha-gal syndrome after getting a tick bite develop an allergy to meat. And specifically, it's all mammalian meat except for primate meat.
Meaning poultry, fish, and seafood are excluded. In the U.S., you can mostly blame the Lone Star tick.
The Lone Star tick is named as such because it has a white-yellow dot on its back on the female, which is said to look like a lone star.
Symptoms can start 2 to 4 hours after eating meat with alpha-gal sugars.
It could be mild, such as hives, swelling around their mouth, but it could also be quite severe.
Dr. Pritt stresses that the best prevention is avoiding ticks altogether. For the Mayo Clinic News Network, I'm Joel Street.
Bro,
So, there you have it. Right.
There you go. That last part kind of reminded me. I was just at a doctor's visit recently and was talking with him about a spot on my skin. But anyway, and I made a comment about it. It was real sensitive to touch, and the doctor's like, not to be silly, but he goes, if it hurts to touch it, don't touch it. And it's kind of so yeah. So when he said avoid ticks, that's not always a possible thing, depending on where you live and what you're doing. And, I know particularly to our, myself, even up on my property and our homesteader community and some of those, it's, you're kind of avoiding the idea that you're going to avoid ticks is a very difficult task at times. There's sprays out there and stuff like that. But anyway, back to the point of the Lone Star tick and about how that how that can transmit, but mainly what that where it comes from as far as the types of meat and the mammalian meat and such. But I was quite interested with that and how that works out. But
right. And so this next thing comes from the CDC itself, and it says products that may contain alpha-gal. And I'll just share that with you right now.
I can see the headline there. Yep.
Okay. All right. So products that may contain it. And it's saying right here that AGS, which is alpha-gal syndrome, can be severe and even life-threatening. Seek immediate emergency care if you are having a severe allergic reaction. Then it goes on down to say that the following foods and ingredients may contain alpha-gal. This is not a list of all the products or ingredients that may contain alpha-gal, but it's basically all mammalian meat, such as beef, pork, lamb, venison, rabbit, that contain a high amount of alpha-gal.
Right.
And then I also noted that food products that contain milk and milk products typically contain alpha-gal in it.
Right.
And so, and that's coming straight from, the other thing was that they were talking about gelatin made from beef or pork is also in it.
Right.
And here's some that you may not expect, but meat broth, bouillon, stock, and gravy can all contain that. And it says that not only that, but I want to just come on down here to the bottom of this article.
Right.
And here, I may have to, here we go. Right here. It says, make sure I get this part right here in this part, a list of additives to specific vaccines called
Right.
vaccine excipients are available through the CDC. They tell you where you can find it and everything, but it tells you right down here that it can be in gelatin, glycerin, magnesium stearate, and right here, bovine extract. So they use this bovine extract in the manufacture of some vaccines. And we can kind of just, I'm going to go over here and open up a list of those vaccines real quick.
Right.
As you know, it's I have heard that it is also in the COVID-19 shots. I've heard that on this particular page where it's talking about the excipients of vaccines
Right.
from the Institute of Vaccine Safety at Johns Hopkins University. It is, it's not listed there, or if it is, I don't recognize it by any names that I had seen.
Right. Well, so say, that was, I mean, in the CDC's page, I know, it mentioned, medical products like heart valves from pigs or cows. This one we've heard before during the COVID-19 era of monoclonal antibodies, and then heparin, some antivenoms are animal derived and may contain it as well. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that could have it, but now to what level it has it, how serious it can be as far as, the amounts. But yeah, and I know we're going to dig into it here in a little bit about some of the speculation with the bovine extract and what that does.
Right.
Or where it might be, how that might link into some other things going on.
Right. And so I'm just going to share that with you. Like, again, this is from Hopkins University and Bloomberg. It's the Institute for Vaccine Safety. And this is a PDF that they put out.
Okay.
And it's telling you that right here, basically, they put it in in vaccines, for preservatives,
Right.
adjuvants, easy for me to say, stabilizers. Right. And I think it's mostly in stabilizers that we're finding the bovine serum.
Right.
And then down here in the table where it talks about the different types of vaccines that there are, the only thing that I did is went through whenever I found bovine serum albumin, I highlighted only those places that said that. So in this one, for example, DTaP IPV, again, and another DTaP IPV, Hep B. So it's for, a shot for hepatitis B.
Right.
Hep A right here. And IPV. And other people probably understand this much more than I do. But this one right here, zoster shingles. This one, actually, I had come across an article, and I'm about to share that article with you as to where it talks about that anaphylaxis after zoster vaccine implicating alpha-gal allergy as a possible mechanism. Right. And let me get over there to that tab real quick. Okay. And so the final article that I wanted to share is right here.
Right.
And as you can see, it says anaphylaxis after zoster vaccine implicating alpha-gal allergy as possible mechanism.
Right.
And then on down a little bit, right there under the abstract, it says a patient with alpha-gal allergy presented with anaphylaxis after receiving zoster vaccine. Now, remember, somebody we know went into anaphylactic shock. He died.
Right.
Thank goodness they was able to revive him, but but that's what anaphylaxis is.
Right.
And subsequent testing of selected vaccines revealed the presence of alpha-gal allergens in MMR and zoster vaccines, which have in common a higher content of gelatin and content of bovine calf serum.
Well, there that is
So-
again.
So this is from PubMed. And the reason that this article to me is the piece de resistance is because it directly links the vaccines and this bovine serum to alpha-gal. And so they're putting this stuff in our vaccines. You know, not every vaccine has it, but some vaccines have it. So anyway, so I'm just going to kind of open it up, and of course, we know what's been going on around the world,
Right.
especially for those people who's been paying attention. They know that the United Nations, World Economic Forum, and even our government seems to be doing things that don't make sense. They are attacking farmers, when I say attacking, they are shutting down farmers in the Netherlands. And the best farmers in the world. They're attacking meat products like cattle for bovine flatulation.
It still cracks me up, but okay.
And they're killing cows in Europe in order to meet climate change goals.
Right.
And so we already see what they're doing. And of course, it looks a little suspicious to me.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, 100%.
And so, the question is this just happenstance? Or is this, or are they blowing it out of proportion, saying that they're hyping it in order to create a narrative so that, it boils down to, well, we need to, get rid of the cattle because, we've got too much cattle, too much bovine flatulation. And oh, by the way, the reason that we're seeing all of this stuff stirring up from like ticks to the human population is because the humans are moving into their environment.
That's what they were claiming. That very first thing that you showed with USA Today, that was one of their hypotheses, is that we were, because of deforestation and expansion, we were crowding into their environment, and we were, they were getting. Now, something that I read, and I wish I could find the article, I couldn't, but one of the things it was talking about was the rise of this and the Lone Star tick and kind of what it, what it represents,
Right.
And one of the things they were talking about was the migration, because the Lone Star tick was typically something that was in the southeast, red states. Anyway. Just saying.
Red states.
Red meat, red states, But anyway, but that now they were getting cases further north because the migration, like you were talking earlier, where the tick gets on an animal and that animal travels and while the tick's feeding, and then it jumps off and it goes along, it gets on some other animal or a person, whatever, and it travels. Right, it's hitching a ride while it's eating, and sucking the blood, and so that's how they're saying it's migrating. But so they're saying that is part of the cause. But this is a relatively new thing. This isn't something that's been around for decades or generations. I mean,
That's right.
This is a new thing, and so one has to wonder what has changed besides population boom, as they've claimed, that has led to this. And, I don't know. I mean, is it our diet? Is it, besides that, I mean, is it the processed foods? Is it the vaccines? Is it this? The questions abound with what made this sudden thing where this is on the grow, and it's on the rise, particularly here in, Western places. Now, it does exist in other places around the world, but particularly, because we are a large consumer of meat.
That's right. As a matter of fact, they said that we were one of the largest producers of like beef in the world. And so, they're putting all of that together and they're saying, well, there's just simply too many cows on the planet. That's why we see the rise of all of this also.
Right.
But I'm asking myself, is it too many cows on the planet, or is it too many people in labs doing
Things they shouldn't be.
shouldn't be? That's right.
You know.
Funny how all of this stuff kind of goes on the rise, and now they're coming out, after COVID-19 and saying, whoops, sorry, shouldn't have said that. But anyway, this right. And then suddenly they're talking about another pandemic. Pandemics don't normally happen that close together, but there sure is an awful lot of hype of it.
Well, I mean,
Mainstream media.
right. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, you talk about they don't happen. I mean, we had the Spanish flu, which was early 1900s. So you're talking,
Over 100 years.
well over 100, and then, I mean, you could, I think they actually called it an epidemic at the time, which was the AIDS, HIV, which they talked about, in that video briefly. It was more of an epidemic. I don't think they ever classified it on the same scale, even though it was a pretty big deal at our, at the time, our generations is, we grew, the age we were when that came out. But, so now then you've had the names who shall not be mentioned, that occurred, escaped from some lab somewhere, I don't know. But anyway, because suddenly now we're looking at, here we are, 3 years going on 4 removed, from, that, and, the WEF and Klaus and company and all them are wargaming, further pandemic reactions and stuff like that. And I mean, it's like, and this talk of, like this particular thing here with the alpha gal and kind of what it leads to. And it's like, okay, listen, I don't believe in coincidence anyway. And the more of that you start stacking these pieces together, the more, you kind of at least have to ask the question of, what's really going on here that all of a sudden, food that has been being consumed for thousands of years, millions of years, whatever, is now suddenly developing an allergy in people. Well, what has changed? Is it the medicines we're taking in, or is it the food and the way it's processed, or things being put into the food that's causing our immune system or certain people's immune system to attack this thing?
Right. So what I hear you saying is that bovine has been around for thousands of years. Ticks have been around for thousands of years. Humans have been around for thousands of years.
Right.
And then suddenly in this era of pandemics,
right,
we get alpha gal syndrome.
Right.
Which, as we say, either conveniently or just happenstance, happens to cause you to not want to eat red meat, or if you do, you could get even deadly.
Right. It's not about a want to. It's that you have a potentially, you have allergic reactions. You have a potentially deadly one, depending on the length. I know Josh's friend that he mentioned was the type of person that if he eats, it could kill him. Exactly, he has a severe allergy. Where that other person I met, it seemed like theirs was maybe a little more on the milder side, but they still had it. And so, I mean, man, if I woke up tomorrow and I couldn't eat meat without getting sick, without having an allergic reaction, I'd be sad. I mean, even chicken and pork, but I mean,
there's always the impossible burger, bro.
Yeah, that's impossible. So,
it's impossible for you to eat that.
Right. So, but anyway,
right.
So, it's just Man, like you said, it's either the biggest coincidence on the planet that just happens to fall in line to suit the environmentalists and those who are claiming to be, that we shouldn't be eating this meat, we shouldn't be growing them at this rate, and all of this stuff, and consuming it the way we do. And it just happens to fall into their lap, and as they say, never waste, never let a good crisis go to waste.
Right. That's what I was just thinking.
Yeah. Or question mark, from there.
Right. And so, when I think about what could you do about it? First of all, if it's just a narrative that's convenient, then we don't really have to worry much about it. Even you yourself said, "Oh, I've been bit by several of them, and even some of them lately of the Lone Star ticks."
Yeah.
And I mean, and that's a possibility, right? Or the other possibility that's out there, is that it's just not a thing at all. It's just a narrative. The other thing is that it could be intentional.
Right.
The intentional spread of those types of things. Although I hate to think like that, but where did it come from? Where did it get a hold of it for the first time? And why is the cow suddenly producing this in ticks? They've been biting cows and deers and pigs and all that stuff for years, and us too.
Right. I mean, it's you think about this. I mean, it was first, according to information out there, it was first 2002, 2004 timeframe.
Yeah.
So I mean, this is only 20 years old, and it was a relatively small thing, and I mean, and there was reports that came out about 3 weeks ago, Microsoft News, NBC News, everyone, that the CDC said that 42% of doctors have never heard of it.
Exactly. Right.
And so, I mean, credit where that, I'll give that credit to who that is. That Microsoft News, NBC, different ones reported it, from the CDC.
Right.
So, I mean, and it's just like, this thing all of a sudden 20 years ago, is first, I mean, there may have been cases, but it's the first time it was reported. And, and it was, the thing is it was finally formally reported in 2009. This is according to healthline.com, 20 years after the initial, somebody's initial tick back, it's like, man,
so how
so weird.
That's 20 years.
Right.
And it was 20, so.
Right. In July of 2023, advisory.com, CDC released, almost 500,000 Americans may have this meat allergy.
It's insane.
And it's like, 20 years ago, this didn't exist or unheard of, and here we are, 500,000 people.
Bro, I'm just going to say something here.
Right.
Now, I seen it and I looked for it, but I couldn't find it. I even went to the Wayback Machine to try to dig it up.
The Wayback Machine. Huh?
Yeah, to see if it had been, obscured. But it was where, where George Soros had said, there's another one I'm not supposed to say. But anyway, where George Soros said that that he wished that he could, make that tick produce even more in that so that we could give up the meat,
right.
The red meat.
I remember you talking about it. I couldn't remember if it was Soros or Klaus.
No, it was, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, because we looked for, I remember at the time when we started the research on this, we looked for it.
You know what? It could have been Klaus, and I might have been looking for Soros.
I still didn't find it, though.
You didn't find it, but I seen it, and it wasn't that long ago.
Right. So, again, but, a lot of those things come out and, or said or whatever, and then poof, it disappears and you can't find any information on it. So,
right.
The king of walkback is,
right. It's like, let's, I'm not saying they scrubbed it.
Just saying it ain't there anymore.
I'm just saying I can't find it, but I did see it.
Right.
So,
and so, I mean,
again, here we go with the attack on our food supply. And then, the bottom line on this is not just are they doing it or are they not doing it, but
right.
What do we do about it?
Well,
their solution, bro, is don't get bit by a tick.
Yeah, don't go in the woods, don't go outside, spray your spray, don't get around nature.
Right.
That sounds like a lockdown. But anyway, oops.
Hey, and if I was a conspiring person, meaning to say no, I mean not a conspiratorial person or a conspiracy theorist. I'm talking about a conspiring person.
Right.
I would think, well, this would be a good way to say it's just not safe for you to be out there. You need to be in these 15-minute cities.
Right.
where we can take care of you.
Everything is provided for you.
Don't worry.
Be happy.
You'll own nothing.
And be happy.
You'll be happy.
That's right. You know, so I mean, it's, yeah, you know, okay, well, back here in Realville, you know, the rest of us, you know, yeah, it's out there. Okay, you know, like I said, I told you I've been bit by ticks, you know, those Lone Stars, and I know, like I said, this year,
Right.
you know, recent. Anytime, and in fact, anytime I go up on our property, that's a mandatory check later.
Yeah, I remember having to be, you know, when I was younger, going out in tall brush and things like that, just playing as a kid. And when I'd get home, we had to do a head to toe check, you know.
Right.
And you would find them in all kinds of places. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Including that Lone Star.
Exactly. And, you know,
And it
funny thing is, I remember you
didn't
talking.
affect me any.
Right.
Yeah, or you.
Yeah. No, but you know, I remember, you know, I'm gonna little flash, little side note, you know, talking about the tick bites and those types of things. And I remember, you know, and this will age us a little bit here, but I got the grays to back it up. It's okay. Remember Campofinique?
Yes.
Oh, man. But you know what? It'd take all that stuff right out of you. It'd take care of a mosquito or a tick bite or anything like that. It'd cure that right up, but it would burn.
Right.
But yeah, that was
And
tick
the little
bites
bitty
growing up.
seed ticks.
Little,
Those
yeah,
doggone little bitty ones, man.
yeah,
Those
you had to
are
have
crazy.
tweezers to get them out of there. But yeah,
Right. So we're no stranger to ticks, you know.
no, not at all.
And what I'm going to do, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not a doctor. Ryan's not a doctor. But what I'm saying is I'm taking my chances with it, because I would rather take my chances and not get sick
Right.
and eat red meat. Okay. But, you know, it's kind of like a catch-22. They're going to try to get rid of it anyway. So you and I can't afford it, or they just, you know, for some reason,
Right.
we can't have it.
Right.
Either way. So, you know, at least for me, I'm rolling the dice on that, baby.
Oh, 100%. You know, and listen, I mean, this is, you know, kind of jumping around on this a little bit, but kind of getting back into it. You know, this kind of caused a lot of controversy. You know, and for those of you who don't know him, I don't know where you've been hiding, but anyway, you know, Alex Jones on his show made some pretty strong allegations about it. You know,
Right.
And,
I think he's doing like a 6-part series on,
is he now?
on some of this. Yeah.
Right. You know, Info Wars for those who don't know. But anyway,
Right.
And band.video. But you know, I'm gonna hit share again. Hopefully this don't mess us up.
Yeah. Go ahead. It's all right. Brave it.
Yeah. Okay. Can you
Yeah.
see
It's
it?
good. Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect.
Now this is from Health Feedback. Okay, and they're basically trying to debunk or push back on Alex.
Okay.
This
Yeah.
is why I claim InfoWars that COVID-19 vaccines cause meat allergies is baseless.
Fair enough. Let's read it. I mean,
Yeah.
seriously.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I want to, you know, so showing the other, you know, the pushback. Moderna and Pfizer shot. This is his claim that Moderna and Pfizer shots have a bovine protein in them that then creates an autoimmune response to those that take the shot, so that many of them can no longer eat beef. This website, this article says it's inaccurate and it's flawed reasoning. So the video cites as evidence a list of ingredients in certain vaccines that are of animal origin and could trigger an allergic reaction in people with alpha-gal syndrome. It goes through what the syndrome is. However, the mRNA COVID-19 vaccines are not among vaccines that contain animal-derived ingredients and therefore wouldn't contain alpha-gal and cause an allergic reaction in people with AGS.
Right.
And he says, and they also say it fails to grasp significance of observation. Neither of the case reports cited in the video had anything to do with meat allergy developing in people with the mRNA COVID-19 vaccine. One report was about shingles who received a COVID-19 booster, and while the other was about an allergic reaction following receipt of the shingles vaccine. Their key takeaway is AGS condition where people develop a reaction to products containing sugar molecule alpha-gal. I ain't pronouncing that big long word. It's president blah blah blah. However, mRNA COVID-19 does not contain animal products, therefore they don't carry the risk. Full claim: Moderna and Pfizer shots have bovine protein in them that then creates an autoimmune response to those that take the shot. So many of them no longer eat beef. So anyway, basically they're pushing back on
They're
it.
pushing back on it.
Right.
Okay.
So I mean, and then they goes on and on and on here. But the main gist you get there is, I mean, that's their pushback
Right.
on it. And so, I mean, I've watched the video, and, I don't know, you kind of, people decide for yourself.
Well, my take on it is they are in some common
right.
vaccines,
A lot of common vaccines, MMR,
TDAP, and also the zoster virus.
Right.
It's like herpes zoster.
Right. So I mean,
that's what it is.
Right. Well, so I mean, they've got, like I said, the stated fact is that it is in some vaccines, and is that where this has begun? Is in the vaccinations? Maybe, by incident or otherwise. I mean, I don't know. I'm with you, bro. I'm taking the. There you go. I'm with you. I'm taking the chances of dodging ticks and eating meat. I mean, it's
right.
I figure I've made it 51 years on this planet getting ticked.
So here's one of the things I care about, bro. I don't know. You really can't see that very well. Too blurry, but the Mayo Clinic, a tick to blame for alpha-gal meat allergies. So these ticks are causing meat allergies, and they are causing it in some vaccines, and anaphylaxis after zoster vaccines. So now you've got at least one case that we know of that's actually been tied to that. But as you said earlier, with doctors, only 40. Did you say 40% of the doctors never even heard of it?
47% have never heard. 42, I think it was, have never heard of it.
Have never heard of it. So how in the world is 42% of the doctors diagnose something they've never even heard of?
Exactly.
So we know what's out there.
Right. A lot of things. Many things go undiagnosed or improperly diagnosed. And, there was, in that period of time that we came out of, I think there was a lot of that occurred, and it continues to occur, of either misdiagnosis or just something they have not experienced, so they don't know how to go forward. And, we see it all the time. I mean, it's information's not getting put out. I don't know if it's not, being shared or if it's not.
Well, I remember, and I'm telling you, I mean, these things just pop into my head. So.
Right.
But I remember when the information didn't get to us until it was too late on a certain C word.
Yep. Exactly. Right.
And I'm just like, if this is that deadly and you know it,
yeah,
then why did you wait before you let the population know it?
Exactly. And, I mean, that's just going to be, we'll always have that question, I imagine. But, it's, like I said, folks, it's just one of those things where, information is out there. I mean, you can literally go into your search engine, type in alpha-gal, and it's going to give you Mayo Clinic and CDC and Cleveland Clinic and everybody else. And you can read up on this stuff and kind of, begin to educate yourself. And that's the most important thing, is you educate yourself. And, the answer is the same as it's always been for us and always will be for us. Know your producer, know where your meat comes from.
Right.
Cut a leak out of your supply chain, shorten your supply chain.
Absolutely.
So you know where things are
Ditch
at.
Ditch it, bro.
Ditch it. Get out of here. Ditch it.
Exactly.
Cut the leak.
That's right. Know your supplier the best that you can.
Grow it yourself if you can, but know your supplier, know where it's coming from, and just the more of that you do, I mean, as far as the quality of the meat or the quality of the animal, where it's going and what's in it, you're going to know. Listen, they sell tick spray.
Yeah.
They sell pellets. They sell things you can treat your yard with that helps.
To knock that down. And
knock that down. Now, and so, I mean, look out for your animals too.
But it was also the mainstream media that said, could this be the next pandemic?
Right. And that's a question. Are they are they using it conveniently?
Yeah.
Or Question mark.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll let you decide that, guys. But anyway, I guess we're going to go ahead and wrap this up because I think we beat it to death. But
Yeah.
it's something to keep your eye on. And, you know, one of the things that when you look up alpha gal and you do your own research with it, you know, one of the places you're not going to find is the Alex Jones Show. They will not allow
that is
you to
not the top of the list. You're going to have to type that one in yourself. You know, Infowars.com, or, you know, go check him out if you're curious. If by some chance you've never heard of Alex or watched any of his stuff, you know,
Right.
you know, but yeah, it's you know, go out and do your homework, folks. You know, get educated. We're just putting it out there, talking about the issues on that come into our feeds, and you know, there's a lot of stuff going on out there, and we're going to get back in the saddle back
and
on
tell the truth.
Right.
You know,
Be
no
honest.
matter what you do, be honest about it. And you know, Ryan just you know, read, you know, an opposition to what Alex Jones said, and that's fair enough. I want to hear
Right.
both sides of it, and I want to make an informed decision. That's
Right.
all. But what I'm saying is that over the years, bro,
Yeah.
watching this for so long,
Oh,
everything that we see is related.
oh yeah, it's all connected.
It's all connected, and it's a part of a narrative and a push. You know, a lot of the things we talk about on here is to try to shed a little bit of light on this corner and that corner, but really to see the whole thing, you need an array of lights in the ceilings to just shine in every
Oh, absolutely.
you know, in every
You know,
corner of this in order to understand.
you know, and you know, hey, get into discussion, get into dialogue. You know,
Yeah.
be open to hear people, be open to listen to what could be, you
Right.
know, ideas. But you know, do your own homework, do your own research, get out and find it. You know,
Right.
and you know, hey, that's the key. And you know, get your community. You know, develop your people. I mean, all the things we talk about on a regular basis here. But you know, so bro, I don't know, man. I mean, it's kind of out there, alpha gal syndrome. If you
Right.
know anybody, if you know anybody's got it, man. I mean, you know, hey, you know, pray for them. You know, because it is, you know, it's a real thing. But you know, also keep an eye open for headlines or anything that may pop up on it, so that you kind of keep up to date on what's going on.
That's
In
right.
you know,
And don't be afraid. Be informed, but don't be afraid.
right.
Punch fear in the face.
Absolutely. You know, and so anyway, folks, you know, a little bit different episode this week, this month. You know, this one is coming in the can, a little bit different.
Right.
Hope it was informative and, you know, maybe a little bit entertaining or enlightening for you. But as, you know, as you go forward, hey, if you like the, you know, if you find our content valuable, hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up, smash it, you know, share it, like it, all the good things that we do. We're out on all the socials. You know, we're out on, I say all, we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, we're on Heart and Spotify.
Anywhere you get your podcast.
Right. Anywhere you can get your podcast, you can find us there. But anyway, check us out there. Like I said, if you find our content valuable, certainly tell a friend and share the content. We're going to have a lot more stuff coming down the pipe. We've got some changes that are going on here in the Farm2Table Direct Show that are going to be exciting, I think, and be able to get us a lot more, the ability to get a lot more information to you. And so thanks for bearing with us on this a little bit different episode.
Right.
You know, but
And I will, before you go,
Yeah.
if there's a little box down there clarifying information about COVID-19, that just means we've done our job.
That's right. I guess 2 thumbs up right there. 2 thumbs
Yeah.
up. Double like. But yes, folks, yeah, absolutely. You know, keep fighting the fight. That's what I got to say about that.
So let's raise a toast to our tiny, not-so-heroic hero, the Lone Star Tick. Because who needs cautious optimism and logical solutions when we can entrust the fate of our dietary habits and the planet to an insect? Bravo, Lone Star Tick, bravo. Just one small bite for you and one giant leap backwards for humankind.
No humans were harmed in the production of this podcast.